Abnormal development is defined as when development takes place in an unexpected manner and exhibits an unusual pattern of behavior or physiological function. The aim of this integrative observation project was to find and interview a person that can give us a good look at how their development changed them into the person they are today. The person that the group chose to interview is an allied security desk worker that works for SLU, that works for late night shifts in Spring Hall. Some of the group members live in Spring Hall, and I personally know Miss Nicole from simply talking to her at the desk throughout the school year. She has asked us to refer to her as Miss Nicole. Miss Nicole is a perfect subject in this experiment because we will be focusing on the pathologies that she currently goes through and try to determine from our set of questions what in her development led to these various pathologies. Miss Nicole is an obese African American woman with apparent medical defects. She's a very sweet woman, but is very short-tempered and can be rough at times. We asked her introspective questions about her childhood to see if anything could give us the information to determine her specific development. While we were mainly focusing on pathologies, it was a necessity to be respectful to Miss Nicole. Therefore, we asked her a lot of positive questions referring to her past to figure out what in Miss Nicole's development led her to be personable, social, easy to talk to, and compassionate. Also, we figured that it would be best for myself, Jimmy, to interview Miss Nicole because of my previous relationship with her and thus my ability to ask deeper questions. The interview and observation took place at her desk shift in Spring Hall. The interview lasted around 20 minutes, and I sat at the desk with her for the next hour observing her interactions in this environment. This was a perfect environment for an observation because of the multiple interactions with a multitude amount of people that she encountered walking past the desk. And now we will dive into further detail about the specific questions and answers that we received during the interview. Her level of education, she ended education in 13th grade, but later went on to become a medical assistant, and she had to go through medical assistant training school for that.
To continue, her occupation that she has is an allied desk worker at Spring for St. Louis University. We asked her how much she makes, and she simply said that it wasn't enough. To continue, we asked her if she played any sports. She answered that she did play basketball, but she did not do well in sport because she had problems with elbowing and scratching the competitors, which can show her aggressive side. Her favorite food as a kid was cereal, which shows that she didn't have much variety in what she had, and it was a repetitive thing. She further says, and when asked any games that she loved to play as a child, she would play hide and go seek solely with her mother. And then she says, we asked her what causes her the most stress, and she says lack of finances. This may be due to her financial situation as a child, which may further connect to her upcoming, like her future. Then we asked her, do you experience any signs of mental illness? She said she's not medically diagnosed, but she always feels that there's nothing always right. She says when asked if she had any medical conditions, she listed that she had high blood pressure, vitamin D deficiency that comes because she is a black woman. She has high cholesterol, she is obese, and she has a possible thyroid problem that she's looking into. When asked what plans does she have for the future, she plans to purchase a home for her children. So if that means they'll have a place to stay. She raised her level of self-esteem at a 4 because that is what she was forced to be put in the situation she had in her house. And lastly, we asked her if there's anything she thinks that she can't do or that she has limits. She feels that she cannot provide the things that her kids may need or want. And that concludes our interview questions.
Basically, in the end of the day, we were very happy with how the interview went, and we felt that the questions were designed in a way that we are going to be able to create an in-depth look at her life history and development. Okay, so we conducted this interview, and we kept all of the interview questions and answers in a Google Doc so that we both could access it. And basically, we're just going to go through exactly what the type of questions we were asking and the answers. So we first started off with very general questions, such as, what is your full name? Her full name is Nicole Raynette Bowles. She is from St. Louis, Missouri, the west side. When she was asked to rate the safety in her neighborhood, 0 to 100, 0 being the safest, 100 being the absolute most dangerous. She rated at 95. So this is something that we're really looking at pretty closely, because that has a lot of implications in her development. She currently has no living parents, but she was raised by her mother, which is important because her father was not in her life. She was raised solely by her mother. And when asked if she had described her mother in one word, how would she describe her? And she said, gangster, in a positive manner, because her mom taught her a lot of life skills that helped her survive in her dangerous neighborhood. And then we asked a bunch of other questions regarding that were more introspective, so we can get a better idea of how her childhood was. For example, we asked her what her first memory was. And her first memory was when she was 5 to 6 years old. Her granddad would let her count his money from his retirement checks and go to the store and buy her candy bars. This is important because it shows that she did in fact have a family behind her to help her. And going along with family, she had 8 brothers, 3 sisters, except none of the sisters are her mother's children. So this is very important. She's got a very big and spread out family, and that plays some role into her development. Also, moving on, when she was asked who influences you most, she said, no one's surprised, her mother, but also she said Tina Turner, who was a singer who went through a lot of adversity throughout her entire life. And we kind of looked at that answer as that she appreciates going through adversity, and yeah. We also asked her what her best childhood memory was, and she said when a 6th grade friend asked her to a dance. We also asked her certain questions, as in, how would you describe a perfect day when you were young? Her answer was sitting outside in the front with my neighborhood friends and watching the scenery. Also, this is a very important one. We asked her if she had any nicknames throughout her life and any meaning behind them. And her uncle called her Blackie because she's the darkest person in their family. And I think this further emphasizes the point that she did have a family around her to support her.
We chose the attachment theory, and the attachment theory can be defined as a strong emotional and physical attachment to at least one primary caregiver, which is critical to the personal development. The attachment theory provides a necessary sense of security and foundation. Without the proper attachments to a caregiver, whether it be a parent or other person in their life, strongly, can lead to a fearful, less willing to seek out introverted person. We've associated Ms. Nicole with this theory based off some of the questions from our interview. Nicole states that she was solely raised by her mother, then proceeds to explain her further as a gangster. With no talk about her father, it can be assumed that he was not present in her life. Studies have shown individuals that grow up without father involvement often develop social problems. However, Ms. Nicole does not display these aspects. She later on states that her uncle had an impact on her life that could have made up for her father's absence. Being raised by her mother, she clearly takes lessons learned from her when making plans for her future. In conclusion, according to the attachment theory, her connection with her mother was vital for her drive to be able to do what her mother did and more. We chose the attachment theory, and the attachment theory can be defined as a strong emotional and physical attachment to at least one primary caregiver, which is critical to the personal development. The attachment theory provides a necessary sense of security and foundation. Without the proper attachments to a caregiver, whether it be a parent or other person in their life, strongly, can lead to a fearful, less willing to seek out introverted person. We've associated Ms. Nicole with this this theory based off some of the questions from our interview. Nicole states that she was solely raised by her mother, then proceeds to explain her further as a gangster. With no talk about her father, it can be assumed that he was not present in her life. Studies have shown individuals that grow up without father involvement often develop social problems. However, Miss Nicole does not display these aspects. She later on states that her uncle had an impact on her life that could have made up for her father's absence. Being raised by her mother, she clearly takes lessons learned from her when making plans for her future. In conclusion, according to the attachment theory, her connection with her mother was vital for her drive to be able to do what her mother did and more. The last theory that we associated with Miss Nicole is the psychoanalytic theory. This theory is the theory of personality organization and the dynamics of personality development that guides psychoanalysis. Miss Nicole has told us that she has a drive to provide for her kids, being that she has seen at a young age how her parents and how her uncle were driven to provide for her by showing her how to count money, to buy things at store, the hustle that it takes to get the things that she wants, and that has driven her now to do the things that she needs to do. For parts of the body that her development has affected, we said that it has affected her pulmonary system. Ms. Nicole, as we mentioned before, said herself that she is obese and has a multitude of diseases due to this ailment. Specifically, obesity has a particular effect on pulmonary physiological function. Naturally, with obesity comes high cholesterol levels in the blood, which leads to increased plaque buildup in the arteries and reduced blood flow. Also, due to the accumulation of adipose cells throughout the body, lung volume is drastically decreased and could explain Ms. Nicole's frequent cough. In addition, we'd identify the skeletal system as a part of the body that may be affected. Due to her vitamin D deficiency, most likely due to the color of her skin, it is well known that African Americans have problems effectively getting vitamin D into their body. Vitamin D helps with the buildup of bone structure and makes bone stronger. Without this, it can affect the strength of her bones. Lastly, she noted that she was having thyroid problems, possibly, and she's going to look into that. That may be due to the hormone imbalance that she may have endured due to her being obese, but is not yet been determined. But we hypothesize that it may be from that.